Algebra 2, 11.1, the main focus of the lesson today is to introduce you to the two main words of the chapter, which are roots and factors. By roots, I do not mean square roots. Although square roots may be in the chapter, that's not what we mean by roots. If I want to mean square root, I'm going to say square root. If I just say root, it's a new meaning of a word. So the first group of questions in the notes asks you, is a certain number a root of a polynomial? A number is a root of a polynomial if it makes it 0. 0 is going to be the number of the chapter for sure. So the first homework questions will say to you something like, here's a polynomial. A polynomial just means you have several terms. This is a trinomial in particular because there's 3 terms. That's a binomial. That's a monomial. They're all types of polynomials. Okay, but they're giving you a polynomial and they're asking you something like, is 7 a root? Not a square root. Is it a root? A word in this chapter meaning if you plug 7 in for the variable, will it get you 0? So all you're going to do on the first group of the homework, and if you want to look at the homework page, it's 467, 1 through 4, each has like an A, B, C, D-ish kind of thing going on. But you're going to take the number, put it in for the variable, and just see if it equals 0. So if I want to check to see if 7 is a root of this, 7 squared is 49, minus 4 times 7 is 28, minus 21. Do the math. 49 minus 28 is 21, minus another 21 is 0, so yes. Do not turn me in a paper with yes, no, only on it. That would be a waste of your time to do that because I will not acknowledge you as having done the homework. Show a little bit of the work to show whether you did or didn't get 0 out of that. If I wanted to check 3, 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 3 is 12, minus 21. Start to think about that. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. If I keep working, will I get 0? No. I don't necessarily care that you work to the final conclusion to figure out that this was going to be negative 24. It's just a verdict as to whether it is or isn't 0. But show me enough work to know that I know you're not just faking me out by taking a homework and going, yes, no, 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 yes, no, no, yes, no, no, no. I hope you'll fall for that because I will not. If we try negative 3, remember a negative to an even power will be positive. So negative 3 times negative 3 is another positive 9. A minus 4 times a negative 3. A negative with another negative is going to turn that around to be a plus. 4 times 3 is 12. Minus a 21, that is a yes. 9 and 12 is 21, minus another 21, that is a yes. Same idea, but harder problem. Same kind of polynomial, but if I'm going to see if 2 plus root 3, 2 plus the square root of 3 is a root, my math just got a little bit harder. If I'm trying to put this in, I'm going to need to show a little more work on this. If any of you are trying to tell me you can do this in your head, you're crazy. The 2 plus root 3 to go in here and be squared, for most of you, best idea is probably put 2 of those side by side as a distribute or as a FOIL kind of question. Minus 4, and put another set of parentheses in that spot. And we're looking at that. We're trying to decide if that's going to equal 0. It's going to take a little bit of steps. So multiply those. There's a 4. This is a plus 2 root 3. That's another plus 2 root 3. Root 3 times root 3 is normal, old-fashioned, regular 3. Distribute here. There's a negative 8. There's a minus 4 root 3. If we distribute. And there's a plus 1 around. And then try to clean some stuff up. Positive 2 root 3, positive 2 root 3, that's a positive 4 root 3. There's a negative 4 root 3 that would zero that out, so we've got a shot. There's a 4, plus a 3 is a 7, plus a 1 is an 8. There's a matching negative 8 that would zero that out, so we do all that, and we can say yes. I's are back. So if I give you the same kind of polynomial, but ask you if this is a root, wrap that up in parentheses and stick it in every location where you could see an x. For the 3 plus 2i to get squared, I would stick 2 of those side by side. Minus 6, get a distribute problem going there, plus a 13. Now let's do some foiling and stuff. These make 9. This makes a plus 6i. This makes another plus 6i. This would make a plus 4i squared, and now we need to dip into our memory banks in a minute for what to do about that. Distributing, this would be a negative 18 minus a 12i if we distribute, and the plus 13 is unchanged. I squared, some of you will remember and some of you won't. I squared was negative 1. So a positive 4i squared, this is going to eliminate in place of a negative 4. I squared just switch the signs of things. And then we'll try to look for like terms. Positive 6i is 12i, but there's a negative 12i. So this is looking good. There's a 9 minus a 4 is a 5. 5 minus 18 is negative 13. But a positive 13 offsets that and zeroes everything out, so that's a yes. And you now have the ability on the homework to do 1 through 4, but I made a trade to help past generations and you as well. On 3, do the 0 part of 3, do the negative 1 part of 3. Do not do the I root 7 parts of 3, because that will be harder than what I'm making you do. I have 2 replacement problems on a worksheet that's in your packet that stand in for 3C and 3D. Do those, not the original ones, and I'd rather you do them just on this paper. You can even do the rest of it maybe on the back or staple something on or something. But 3C, 3D, I have 2 better replacement problems than what they did. They're a lot like the one that I just did there. Likewise on 4, 0, do the 0 plug-in on 4, do the negative 2 plug-in on 4, but don't do the I plug-ins that they gave you. I have 2 that are easier. So 4C, 4D, use this paper to do about what I did here. The key idea is that when you get an I squared, when you FOIL, that's a negative 1 and you do a switch. So that's word 1 of the chapter is roots. A number is a root if you can plug it in for all the variables and it gives you 0 for your grand total. That's going to be something we'll be looking for all chapter long. Second word of the chapter is factors. The word factor can be used in a lot of different ways. You know the word factor from factoring, and it will be used in this chapter in that sense. Like if I ask you to factor that, x minus 2 is a factor, x minus 3 is a factor. Factors also been used in your life in another way, like 2 times 3 makes 6. Those are called the factors because 6 is called the product. The factors were in a club like addends and divisors and dividends and those numbers. The factors are numbers that multiply together to do something else. Factors, that's what they're doing here too, but factoring is a process you're familiar with. So they'll ask you in the middle group of the homework to check to see if something is a factor of something else. And what we're going to do there is just divide it and see if you get a remainder of 0. Like I said, 0 is the number of the chapter. So if I say to you, is x plus 2 a factor? Put x plus 2 out of the box. Is x plus 2 a factor of some other big thing? Put the other big thing in the box. So if we want to divide this, we've done long dividing before this year. You just divide the liters. When you divide things with powers, that has an invisible 1, you subtract the powers. So subtracting powers there is x squared. Once you make a new piece of the quotient, you look to multiply this by everything. These would make an x cubed. These would make a 2x squared. When we do division, you always subtract. In algebra division, that will always vanish when you subtract. This will get me 7x squared. Drop the rest of the stuff. Copy it. Now we divide again. 7 dividing a 1 is a positive 7. Subtracting powers is an x. This multiplies everything in the divisor. So 7x squared plus 14x. Then we subtract. Those vanish. This is 12x plus 25. Go again. 12x dividing a 1x is a positive 12. Positive 12 multiplies everything. 12x plus 24. We subtract. The remainder is 1. We did all that to say no. We would have said yes if the remainder were 0. Again on this group, do not just say yes, no. Show the division to justify your yes, no. We've got to divide to see. That'll take you from 5 through 8. 5 through 8 will just be long divisions to see, did you get 0 remainder? Say yes. Did you get some other remainder? Say no. But show the work on that. When you turn the page to 468, we're going on this homework as high as, we're going to 14. On 9 through 14, they say this crazy big paragraph. All they're asking you to do is long divide. So they give you a big long thing, put that in the box. They give you a smaller thing called the divisor. You put that out in front of the box, and then you just look to long divide. If you totally understood long division there, cut the video and start the homework. If you felt dicey about the long division, watch me long divide again and it'll make you feel better about the homework, but the rest of the homework is just long dividing again. Divide the liters. That has a 1 invisible power. Subtract powers when you divide. Just looking at the first one of each. Once you have a piece of the quotient up here, it multiplies everything. X cubed minus 3x squared. Then we'll subtract. That always eliminates the liters. Subtracting a negative, minus minus makes plus, so I have a 5x squared, and I copy everything down. Dividing these, there's a 1 in front of that. 5 dividing 1 is a positive 5. Subtracting powers gives me an x. As soon as I get a thing on the top, it multiplies both. So that's 5x squared minus 15x. Eliminates those. Subtracting a negative, again we're going plus. Negative 5 plus 15 is 10x. And we copy down to minus 6. This dividing this is a positive 10. Multiplying both by the positive 10 is 10x minus 30. Again, eliminates the beginning of the row. Subtracting a negative again is a plus. Negative 6 plus 30 is a 24. Let me see how they want us to write these remainders. I don't care how they want us to write the remainders. Just put the R in the 24. I'm fine with that. I don't, however they wrote them, I don't care about their directions. Just go ahead and write the R, and life is simpler with that. That's it. If you have questions, email me. We'll work it out on Zoom.